Hey, welcome to Florida Real Estate TV. I'm Maciek Zaremba, and I'm a real estate agent. And this is Chris Cavazos. He's with Cardinal Financial, my preferred lender. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me on today, Maciek.
Hey, I appreciate you coming here because I wanted to talk to you specifically about what's happening in the real estate market when it comes to people's actions. And you're the best person to talk to about what are people doing because you see all the mortgages.
That's right.
So, are people buying houses?
They want to.
Okay.
But
Are they getting loans?
You know, if they can qualify for them. You know, we're at a time right now where people really do want to buy homes, they want to move and whatnot. But qualification is difficult with higher interest rates, and people just can't stomach what the rates are right now.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've heard from my clients is that, oh, if only I would have bought something 2 years ago, then I would be in a much better house than today, right? So is it a qualifying problem, or is it that they just can't get the house that they want, so they're willing to rent?
Well, you know, I think to what you just said is people always look to the past and then have regret, right? But real estate has ebbs and flows, as always, right? It always goes ups and has its ups and downs. So, you know, on top of having higher interest rates, it does take qualification away from people. But I think the bigger factor here is that people that are already in homes have such a low rate when they purchased years ago that they can't stomach going from a 2 to 4% interest rate to a now 7% rate today. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so that is something that I've seen, right? So now if you're a buyer, listen to this. If you were to have bought something when interest rates were low, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen them under 3%.
I have a 2.25 rate myself. Maciek.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on a $290,000 purchase.
Oh, yeah, let's see. That's
What are we looking at? What's the difference for the principal and interest only? We're not talking about taxes and insurance, which is a whole different story.
yes. So sorry. So we ran this scenario, Maciek and I, on a $290,000 loan amount at a 2.25 interest rate. The principal and interest is $1,108.51 per month on a 30-year fixed. Then we went ahead and did it at a 6.875 interest rate, same loan amount, 290,000, 30-year fixed, 6.875, 190509. So you're looking at like an $800 increase in payment, same loan amount.
I mean, that's like a 70% or so
How do you
increase
do
in
that?
payment.
How do you do that? That hurts. That's painful.
So how do you get the best interest rate? Like if you're a buyer today, what can you do to really guarantee yourself to getting the best rate you can, and so that for the long run you win? Because we're not going back to 2.25, and frankly, I think you're the only person I know with a 2.25, but I know a lot of people that are under 3%.
Sure.
So we could just as well do a 3% interest rate, right?
Sure.
And it's still going to be $500-$600 difference.
Considerable
So
higher.
what can a buyer do today?
You know, honestly, Maciek, if you're a buyer, I wouldn't focus on the interest rate. I wouldn't put my attention to that. The reason being is that rates change. They've changed. So if I have a 2.25 rate, and no, I don't think we'll get there again, but rates will change. You know, they will go back down. They will get back down to 5%, if you will. And that change is going to be dramatic enough that you can refi later, that it makes sense to just go get the house that you want now, because in this very environment, there's less competition for the purchase of a house because rates are higher, because of the way the economy is right now, because of inflation and all these things. So, you know, I wouldn't be so hyper focused to say like, all right, well, what do I got to do to have this best interest rate? You know what I mean? Of course, you want to do the right thing. So you want to have good credit. You want to make sure your credit's in the right position. You know, higher than a 700 credit score or not. I mean, FHA has got some great rates right now too. You know, just do right by your credit is a good way to put it. But I wouldn't be so focused on what that number looks like, because, you know, that old adage, you know, marry the house, date the rate. I mean, you're going to do a refinance. I'm telling my clients right now, you know, take what the rate is, whatever the offerable rate is, without having to pay a lot of money for it or whatever, because later on we're going to do a refinance. And the cost to refinance, I'd rather see you spend that money there for the lower rate than spend the money up front for the lower rate. So that being said, you know, look for the house that you want, get the house that you want, and we'll take care of the rate when we can.
So, you know, should you wait if you're a buyer because the rates are high? Should you wait, or should you just go and buy something? What do you think?
Yeah, you know, great question. I would say go buy something. And the reason why I say that is, like, I just aforementioned, rates being higher, there's less people that are inclined to buy right now, right? Because people are stuck in their mortgages, their current mortgages that are so low that they can't stomach going the difference that we mentioned before. They can't, $600 for the same house, essentially same priced house. Why would you? Unless you really hated your house that much, you just can't stomach that, right? So, if you can afford it, right, I would go out there and, go find a deal. Like, you can get seller concessions. I'm getting deals in where the seller's paying for closing costs.
Well, on that topic,
yeah,
every deal for at least half a year that has come across my desk, everyone has either a price reduction, major seller concession, maybe most of the closing costs are paid, maybe an interest rate buy down. I mean, the sellers, even though the sellers do have a little bit of an upper hand still because we don't have this abundant inventory.
Correct.
Even though they have that, what's not happening is, 30 showings on the first weekend. So they miss those times.
Yep.
So they know that when they only have 4 showings and maybe 1 offer, they have to do something because that offer is not going to come in at asking or above asking price. It might come in at exactly asking with 3% seller concessions.
Absolutely.
With 6% on an FHA loan.
Correct.
Or put on a new roof.
Yeah.
Which is $20,000, $30,000, right?
Yeah.
So they are definitely giving, the sellers are definitely giving more to the buyers out there. So if you're a buyer, right now is a good time because you have a little more power than you did in the last literally 36 months.
Yeah,
right?
A lot more leverage for sure.
A lot more leverage.
Absolutely.
Now, if we go back to 2019, I would say that we're pretty equal and equivalent with the negotiation power that we had back then, even though we just had lower interest rates than we do now. But we weren't at 3 back then. We were in the 4s,
Correct.
high 4s, right? So it's not even that far from what it was 4 years ago.
That's right.
So now another thing I wanted to say
Sure.
is what's happening with Florida's population, because we're in Florida,
Yeah.
we serve Florida, and generally speaking, a lot of people from other states are moving to Florida. So what does that do for the buyers? What does that do for the sellers? Well, our inventory doesn't go up as fast because we have more people coming in from other states needing to buy. So our inventory isn't increasing as fast as other states are in other big metropolitan areas. But is it going up? Yes. Watch my videos. I do a market video every single month on my YouTube channel, Florida Real Estate TV. And you can see what's been happening month over month over month for the last year with our inventory. And it is increasing, but very, very slowly.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is as soon as these interest rates come back down, we're going to see a feeding frenzy again, right? And then the inventory is always going to be a factor. They stopped building in 2008 after that last crash. And in Florida, DeSantis passed an act that is encouraging the building of new homes and affordable housing because he realized that, hey man, a lot of people are coming here. They like what Florida offers, but we're still so far behind. The catch-up game, we're going to be playing catch-up for a long time. We're going to be playing catch-up for a really long time. So, when these rates come back down, you're going to get it's a yin and a yang, but not really, right? Because you're going to have the values of properties go up. All right, so our rates are going lower, but the property values are going to be in multiple offers again. We're going to have 10, 20, 50,000 over ask again, just because of the constraints that we're under. So again, it comes back to when's the right time to buy. I mean, if you can afford it now, and then obviously get in the home, and we'll see what we could do later. We just watched some videos that showed us some data that shows all the appreciation numbers that we're going to see over the next year, over the next 12 months, over the rest of 2023. One of the numbers that we saw said 5.5% to 6% appreciation over 2023.
That's right.
That's huge, right? And that it kind of makes you wonder, how is that even possible with how expensive things are? But the reality of it is that really proves that we're in a supply and demand environment, right? And it's not something that's overly inflated. It's not like we have so many houses in some kind of a bubble. We just don't. It's just not a bubble. It is really supply and demand, and that's what really needs to be put out there. Now, what we're having a little bit right now is some of these sellers that should have sold when they at the peak, right? And so they're holding on to this value that they think their home's worth. Everybody thinks their own home's worth something more than, it's that intrinsic, that feeling like this is my house, it's worth so much, right? And it is what it is. So you are seeing these price reductions, but not price reductions because they're at value and below. It's because they're a little too high priced, and then now they're coming to the realization of what the price really should be. And so you see a price reduction, you're like, oh, the market's not going the right way. Well, no, the market's going the correct way in that price reduction. And those people were dreamers, right?
That's right.
And that's really what it comes down to. So again, if you have an opportunity to purchase in this environment, and this is even outside of Florida. I mean, majority of the country right now is in this same boat. I believe I saw a statistic that said that we are about 1 million homes for sale nationally, and in that number included pendings. So if we subtract those pendings, you're even less than that nationally. Now, you got some little pocket areas in the country where people don't want to live, where you could probably find some affordable houses. Let's face it, that exists everywhere. But for the most part, major metros, all those types of places are going to have the same kind of, maybe not New York and California these days, but because everybody's getting out of there. But
those are two states that are having a population decline.
They are.
And frankly, a lot of them are coming here, or on the West Coast, they're going to Oregon, they're going to Arizona, Texas, Vegas, and Nevada.
Yeah. I believe I saw something that said that for the first time ever, Florida had more job openings than New York, and more availability for work than New York. And that's mind-blowing to me. But that also just goes to show you the exodus out of some of these other places to come specifically to Florida. So, if you're in Florida, it's a good and a bad thing, right? Our little peaceful gem, Sarasota, where we are, if you ever get a chance to come here, you should definitely check it out. But this is a hot spot, and a lot of Florida is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Chris, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about should you buy, should you wait, what's happening with our interest rates. Now, everyone, if you want to get an opinion about what's going on with interest rates, what can you qualify for? Can you buy a house or an investment property? Reach out to Chris.
For sure. You can visit me at www.yourhomelender.com or on Instagram at yourhomelender, where there's more tips, tricks, and hacks to get you into a home.
Excellent. And if you want to search for any properties in our local area, go to sarasota.com. You can reach and do a full search on anything out here in the Sarasota and Manatee County area. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks.